Hello my friends, it's been a busy year with some great VR game releases, especially some lesser known hidden gems. So today I'm sharing my top 10 VR games for 2022. Most of these are available on both Quest and PC VR. Without further ado, let's get started with number 10.
You're interested in the yearbook? Pink and I are working on it. Find us in the Grand Hall.
From the makers of Job Simulator and Vacation Simulator comes Cosmonious High. The previous titles from Alchemy Labs showed the world that they're very good at creating small minigame kiosks with great interactivity and humor. But up until now, their games lacked character arcs or story motivation to keep going. But Cosmonious High is the perfect blend of minigame challenges with motivating story progression. And I think this is the best game they've ever made.
Pictures! I love pictures!
You're the new student in this alien high school, and instantly upon your arrival, the school is already in danger. But thankfully, you'll be discovering special powers within yourself that are just what the school needs. At first, it's simple things like putting out fires. But the really interesting stuff is how these powers combine and interact. After a while, I was almost overwhelmed with all the possibilities that can be found in here. There's a ton of gadgets and stations to play with, all featuring some of the best VR interactivity that I've seen. Alchemy Labs have truly perfected their trademark game style in here, and it really shows. I found this to be a delightful experience and had a lot of fun. I beat the main story in almost 4 hours. The price is $30, and the only mode of movement is teleporting.
Oh, Noodle! Thank you! This is lovely. New Kid's got an eye for this.
Which is good, because we need photos of everyone.
Even the teachers.
And the intercom.
Just give either of us the photos as you get them. Oh, hey! That's a pretty good shot of me.
Number 9. Resist is the best city-swinging action game that I've ever played. In a dystopian future, you're part of a resistance movement that hopes to take down an evil robot empire. The story campaign is action-packed, and you'll face many robot enemies from tiny drones to massive skyscraper walkers. Sprinkled throughout will be puzzle minigames, usually centered around the idea that you have to hack something or destroy something. As you progress through the story, you'll get to choose your preferred power-ups, almost like an RPG. The freedom of movement in here is awesome. The Spider-Man grapple swinging movement style takes a little bit of getting used to, but after you're comfortable with it, you'll feel really powerful in the way you travel around the city. There's multiple comfort settings and control styles, but it should be obvious from the footage that if you struggle with motion sickness, then you'll probably have a difficult time in here. There's some good humor in the story. The dialogue had me laughing out loud a few times, all featuring great voice acting. There is some adult language though, so it's probably not appropriate for all ages. I haven't beaten the game yet, but after playing for a couple of hours, I can confidently say that I'm glad I bought it for the full price of $20. Word on the street is that the campaign will take about 6 hours to beat, so I think it's a good value for the money. The only downside for me is that I wish there were more music tracks. I feel like I keep hearing the same song over and over again. But that nitpick aside, if you don't struggle with motion sickness, then I think this is a fantastic game. Vox Machinae originally came out in early access in 2019, but this year it has been fully released. In my opinion, this is the best mech game in VR. The atmosphere and sheer scale of the battles in here are jaw-dropping. There's a tremendous sense of presence while you maneuver these massive machines. The combat experience in Vox Machinae stands alone in VR. There's nothing else quite like it. The piloting is done via motion controllers by turning levers, pulling on handles, and more, which feels very satisfying. For a long time, this game featured only multiplayer combat. Within multiplayer, you can choose from multiple classes of mechs and also customize your loadout. With the full release this year, there's now a single-player story campaign, and this was the content that I was really excited about.
Basically, we head down the road and keep our eyes open for any shifty business. Just keep up, unless you want patrol to last all day.
Now, since this game is on the top 10, I obviously liked what I played, but there are some notable quirks with the campaign. Overall, it's great. I really enjoyed playing the missions themselves while having the story guide me and giving purpose to what I was doing. Hearing from NPCs piloting other mechs on the comm system makes the world feel legit.
Chemist Station is currently under attack. Head over there as soon as you can.
In between missions, you occupy the interior of the main ship where you get more story and meet your crewmates face to face.
So you're the one who helped take out that rogue miner today. Welcome aboard. I am Shaheen Husseini, the captain of the Competence.
And it's in here that I face the biggest downside of the campaign. I found the character animation to be rather distracting. The voice acting is good, but they just move so strangely that I had trouble focusing on what they were saying. After a while you do kinda get used to it, but I wish the animation was better. You'll have the occasional small fetch quest in here too, but if you find all of this intermission stuff annoying, you have the option to just skip right to the next mech mission, which honestly is the good stuff. Like I said, overall the campaign is great. Having story motivation within this game is just what it needed. The campaign will provide about 10 hours of playtime for you, and of course there's still the classic multiplayer combat as well, which is also cross-play between VR and flat screen. I say this is the mech game to get in VR. The price is $30.
One down, one to go.
Number 7 is a hidden gem that greatly surprised me, Reflection. The visual style and audioscape are masterful examples of minimal design. This puzzle adventure is a chill and lovely world to play in. As the title suggests, it's all based around mirrors. At first, things are relatively straightforward. You can interact through the mirror to change things on the other side, as well as teleport through the mirror to continue the puzzle in that reflected world. That's how things start off, but more puzzle mechanics are added as you play. Eventually, you'll also be shifting gravity, manipulating time, and changing the laws of physics. All in addition to the original mirrors. All of these things combined create some really fascinating puzzles. There were a few times where I was really stumped for a while. The mood and thinking style reminded me of Transpose, which is another hidden gem, and while the two have very different visual designs, both gave me a similar relaxing and enjoyable puzzle challenge. It took me a little over 5 hours to beat the game, so for the price of $10, I think you get an incredible value for the money. Reflection is simply divine. If you like puzzle games, then I highly recommend it. It's a true hidden gem. Number 6, Garden of the Sea. I originally tried this quite a while ago when it first came out in early access, and back then it was simply a farming sandbox. Fast forward to 2022 for its full release, and I was really impressed by how much this game has grown into something much greater. Because all of the farming and crafting are actually now a backdrop for an exploration puzzle adventure, with the sandbox gameplay being a core part of the big puzzle. Obviously, the core gameplay mechanics revolve around harvesting, farming, and crafting. The farming gameplay in here is the best that I can remember. The interactions work splendidly. It's easy to drop one seed at a time instead of them all spilling out at once. And after you drop them, you can reposition them before you water the ground. You start by finding ingredients and seeds out in the wild, but once you get a few crops set up, you'll be creating your own seeds, tools, and food. After playing for a while, you'll soon have a thriving farming establishment that you'll be proud of. As you explore on your adventure, you'll find crafting recipes for creating new furniture and structures, and new methods of harvesting, like fishing. To go on the puzzle adventure, you'll need to assemble a boat that will take you to other islands, and on those other islands, you'll unlock even more to do. There's a lot of freedom in here. The puzzle adventure isn't necessarily required. For instance, you could just spend your time taking pictures of the animals or scenery and crafting display stands for the pictures. And there's much more you can do beyond that. This experience is quite liberating. I feel like this is really 2 games in one, with the farming sandbox being the core gameplay within a backdrop of a magical puzzle adventure. This provided so much more than I expected, and I had an amazing time. It took me 5 hours to finish the main adventure, and after that, I discovered there were even more side quests beyond that. And then I was free to enjoy unlimited sandboxing too. For movement, you can slide or teleport. The price is $25. Number 5, Townsmen VR. It's a city-building god game with great interactions, gorgeous visuals, and surprisingly deep gameplay. Manage your population by assigning tasks for workers, establishing a production chain, upgrading your buildings to fill specific needs or produce new materials, and much more. There's a lot to learn here, but thankfully you're guided through the story campaign every step of the way, so it's not too overwhelming.
Well done. Your well is done. Now, if people get thirsty, they can just get water from the well.
I really love the tiny details in the animations of your people and the animals. There's charm and personality everywhere you look. While waiting for building construction, it's fun to pause for a moment to take it all in and enjoy the atmosphere, since it's teeming with life. There isn't just city planning, you'll eventually be dealing with combat scenarios and you'll need to be thinking strategically to win medieval battles. Besides the story campaign, there's also sandbox free play. In that mode, you decide for yourself which tasks you want to complete and enjoy full freedom. This is my new favorite RTS in VR. The price is $40, and I say it's worth every penny. Number 4. Wanderer is an ambitious time-traveling puzzle adventure. In a post-apocalyptic world, you find yourself at your grandfather's apartment, where you meet a surprising new friend that will guide you on your adventure.
Your grandfather left me here for you, to be your confidant of sorts. My name is Samuel.
Multiple historical events have been tampered with, and it's up to you to travel back through time and set things right. This game primarily features escape room-style puzzles, with the occasional action arcade sequence sprinkled in.
From what I can gather, we need to get inside this temple structure. I think we should check out that other antiquity fragment. Something tells me it's linked to this one.
Sometimes a time period will have all you need to solve a puzzle, but as you progress, you'll find that you'll often need to transport items to other time periods to find a solution and advance the story. The presentation and polish of this game is spectacular. The production value is almost on par with Half-Life Alyx. The only thing that stood out to me was some of the character animation felt a little off, but that's being really picky. Overall, this is one of the best looking VR games I've ever seen, featuring an extremely creative adventure that stands head and shoulders above the majority of VR games. In my personal playthrough, I got stuck about 2/3 of the way through the campaign because I just couldn't wrap my head around some of the more advanced puzzles, but the estimated playtime is 10 to 12 hours. For movement, you can choose between sliding or teleporting. The price is $40.
I cannot keep you on, Hannah, nor can I pay you. There is a chest inside containing some trinkets and other personal belongings. Please take whatever you like, and something for Moishe's family.
The original Moss is one of my all-time favorite VR games. In my opinion, very few games reach the same level of production quality and creative storytelling from the original. It truly stood out from the crowd. 4 years later, and Moss Book 2 is finally here to continue the story of Quill's adventure. The core gameplay is very similar to the first game. You control the hero Quill through multiple puzzle rooms and action sequences. But beyond controlling Quill, you yourself also need to lend a hand by manipulating large objects with your hands, or sometimes taking control of enemies. So I'll cut to the chase. With the exception of one little nitpick that I'll share in a bit, Moss Book 2 completely delivers and was well worth the wait. The production value is through the roof, from the character animation, to the stunning environments, to the engaging fantasy story that carries it all along. One aspect of the game that improved upon the original is the Metroidvania element. In this game, both Quill and you will gain many new abilities that incentivize you to backtrack in previous areas that were once unreachable. And if you can't tell, I'm keeping this review intentionally vague because there's a lot of surprises in here that I don't want to spoil. The bottom line is that if you enjoy puzzle platforming, then I say this is a must-buy. The one nitpick that I alluded to before is that compared to the original, I think some of the book intermission sequences kind of drag a little too long. Not too often, but a couple of sequences felt that way. That's really this game's only sin. It's quite spectacular. It took me 5.5 hours to beat. The price is $30. Number 2. The Last Clockwinder. In a mysterious magical world, an ancient clock lives inside a giant tree. It's up to you to repair the ancient clock by getting this fruit harvesting facility up and running again. If you love setting up automated assembly lines, then you'll be in heaven with The Last Clockwinder. You need to reach certain harvesting milestones, and the only way to do that is to create looped duplicates of yourself that team up together to get the job done. At first it'll be straightforward harvesting, but things get trickier because your assembly lines will eventually need to arrange fruit in particular molecule shapes that will then press to become seeds. And much later on, you'll be facing other challenges like tools and elements that quickly expire, which will add a pseudo hot potato element on top of everything else. After completing a challenge, you can return to a previous area to try and get even more efficiency and earn more achievements. I loved playing this game. The atmosphere is beautifully colorful, and the entire experience is played at your own pace. So while the end result of these scenes can seem chaotic, I actually found the challenges relaxing because you play at your own speed. When the game first released, it was teleport only, but there's now a sliding movement option too. I beat the game in 4 hours, and the price is $25. And now for my number 1 VR game of 2022. Red Matter 2 is a space exploration narrative adventure. I'll cut to the chase with this one. It's one of the best VR games that I've ever played. Gorgeous space environments, exceptional voice acting, top-tier interactables, all within a full-length campaign. As you explore this mysterious space station, you'll encounter many imaginative sci-fi areas with unique puzzles to solve. Sometimes you'll need to figure out a new contraption, get power flowing, or solve a hacking minigame. And while the majority of the gameplay is puzzle solving, you'll also need to do some space jet platforming, and eventually some action sequences too. It's been so long since I played the first game that I forgot what the story was, but Red Matter 2 does a great job of bringing you up to speed in the story. The story felt standalone to me. I don't think you need to play the first one before playing this, although you certainly could because the first one is a good game too. There's plenty of spooky moments in this journey, but I didn't encounter any jump scares myself. It's a slow, atmospheric kind of spooky, which I definitely prefer. It took me 6 hours to beat the campaign, and I was thoroughly impressed from start to finish. This is among the best the VR has to offer right now. For movement, there's both sliding and teleporting. The price is $30.
Beta, this terminal has been taken apart.
Great. Do you think you can fix it?
Maybe, yeah. Some components look damaged. Others are missing altogether. I'll see what I can do.
Well, that's it for now. Thanks so much for watching. If you like what you see, please subscribe. See ya!